Hey YouTube, welcome back to the Guitar Slinger Hockey Channel. I have an update video for you about the custom ultrasonics, the aptly named Bauer Franken-Boot. I originally made this video thinking that I wouldn't have any time to hit the ice, but fortunately my wife reminded me that I was going to have some, there was one rink that was still open in the state that I live in, and I had an opportunity to go skating. So I have now the ability to share with you the skating performance of these skates and how well they worked and how they felt and all that good stuff. And there's a little bit of a mismatch of different videos that I have in here, just little short clips of where I was skating and how it went. But the main theme right here is that I have put about 20 something hours on these skates, and as just kind of a quick reminder, if you've not seen my other video on how these skates came to be, initially I ordered custom Bauer Vapor 2X Pros. They didn't fit. They being Bauer, found out that there wasn't, they weren't the right skates for me. They weren't fit correctly, so they offered to make me a brand new pair. They thought I should be in the Ultrasonics, and then voila, we have these skates here. So since getting them and skating on them, I did have to send these skates back again after putting a number of hours on them because there were issues with the toe cap. I have since learned that their toe cap issues with comfort and pain have been a reoccurring theme with these skates. And so I've kind of been concerned about that. And so I sent them back to Bauer. They tweaked them and they sent the skates back to me. And so I've now been able to kind of get a feel for how how they're going to work, and I'll kind of get to how I feel about them in a little bit here. But first of all, I'm just going to roll in some footage here of first time on the ice with them and go from there.
Okay, so this is what hockey looks like. Just this awesome bra on my face. It's not so bad. Probably get used to it pretty quick. But, anyways, that's it for now.
Okay, so that was a bit on the silly side, but that face mask is what we all have to wear to even skate outside right now. So it's pretty funky. As a side note about that, that was me getting ready to go out on the ice for the first time, and that was just a stick and puck session. But now that I've gotten a chance to use some various masks, if you are in a situation where you have to wear a mask on the ice, that one that CCM makes that I was wearing is literally the only one that works well. There are a number of other ones like the Under Armour ones and normal medical ones. They all suck. They soak up sweat and then you can't breathe. End of story on it. But anyways, that's me preparing for the stick and puck.
Okay, here we are. We made it. I'm probably muffled, but this is a stick and puck. Obviously a lot of people out here, but that doesn't matter because it's awesome to be on the ice. And trying out the new wheels. Alright, so far, first couple of strides, not bad.
Ah, yes, and not bad they were. At that point, I had just taken about 2 laps around just to kind of see how bad they would feel because they're brand new skates, but I was actually pleasantly surprised by how the balance felt on them, and, pretty impressed with the first couple of laps around. I could tell that they were going to be a fairly responsive skate, but I will get to the performance of them later on in this video. And so now, after I did that stick and puck session, I went and did a really long public session, just kind of get a feel for them and, see if anything developed good or bad while I was skating. Let's cut to that.
Okay, here we are, skating in a public session, testing out the new wheels and my new hip. Feels good, actually. one question mark about the skates, but we'll see how that goes over the course of the weekend. Just started hour number 2, and just coming off of a stick and puck, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so you may have noticed that at one point in that last clip, I mentioned that there was one question mark with the skates. I didn't know it at the time, but that would become a quote-unquote thing, if you will. And so I'm going to roll in a little bit of a photograph of specifically what I'm talking about, and it is the toe caps of the skates. Specifically, the left toe cap was the majority of the issue, but to a lesser degree, the right toe cap was also a problem. So let me roll that picture in now. Okay, so here is the area that I was talking about. So it is on the joint of my big toe. So it's on the outside of my big toe and the top of the big toe. And I'm talking about the joint specifically. And there seems to be a interference between that part of my foot and where the quarter package and the toe cap are riveted and or sewn together. And so that is an issue that never went away, and it became the #1 reason why I sent the skates back to Bauer. There were some other things that developed, specifically the forefoot width and the heel width of my left skate was also a little too narrow. So that was another issue that I had them address. But this was the primary reason, and I'm going to show you what that kind of did to my foot. And by the way, this is not an issue I've ever had before in any skate. So this one is a new one to me. So here's what it was doing to my foot. Okay, so this is giving me the first of 2 images, but right here where I'm circled, you can kind of see that it's causing a bruise. Now, this picture was taken the day after I skated, and then this was something that just kind of progressively got worse, and the pain of this has lingered. I would say that probably lingered for a few days after after I left for that weekend. So it's seemed to be fairly significant. And then I'm going to roll in another issue where the second spot is. Okay, so here is the second red circle on the top of the joint. So basically you can kind of see that part of my foot, there's something about how it interacts with the toe cap. And I am 100% sure now that it is how the toe cap is designed. It's basically the compatibility of my particular foot with that particular toe cap design. That's not an issue I've seen on the Bauer Vapor skates before, but it's something that I am not the only person that has brought this issue up. I know a couple of other people that have had inconsistencies with the toe cap on the Ultrasonic specifically. And I've even seen some ultrasonic skates that have received 2S Pro toe caps as well as Vapor 2X Pro toe caps on them. And Bauer has denied that they do that, but I've already seen those toe caps on other skates, so BS. So this is what it's doing to my foot when I skate. Okay, so enough of my own personal issues. Some of you guys may want to know, how did these skates actually perform? So if you are the kind of person who doesn't have any pain involved with these skates, I actually thought they performed way better than I thought they were going to perform, if I'm being quite honest. I went in with the expectation that I just want some skates that fit me and don't hurt. It was, it wasn't much more thought than that. I knew that, if they don't hurt, then I'll perform well in them. I get the profile I want, the steel that I want, and all that good stuff, and it'll be fine. But what I didn't expect is them to be as responsive as they are. Having owned 2 pairs of Bauer Vapor 2X Pros, having owned 3 different variants of the CCM SuperTac from the original in 2016, the AS1 in a custom form, and the AS3 Pros. These skates are the second most responsive skate and the most agile skate that I've ever worn hands down, and that is behind the custom CCM SuperTac AS1s that I had. I would probably lump the AS3 Pros into that, but not at a retail level. Probably at the custom level. The custom AS1s that I had obviously fit me, plus they had flare steel that was profiled, and you couldn't beat the responsiveness of a one-piece boot with flare steel. But regarding the responsiveness, I was like blown away. These are way more agile than Vapor skates. Of course, as long as you fit in them. So they were extremely powerful. They were very stable, very fast in a straight line. And if you guys are wondering, I chose the superior profile with a 5/8 cut. I think that's a nice combination for agility. And then, they just turn on a dime. They're stable. The foot wrap is great. I think that the tendon guard that some people have complained about is actually an enhancement. It definitely works with you and not against you. And I wouldn't see the need to change that at all. It's comfortable. The forward flex is great, so you can really get your knees over your toes. So I don't really see any negatives about how they perform, and that is very contradictory to most of the reviews that I've seen. These are not a popular skate. I know that they're new, and I know that a lot are sold, but they're not at the same level as Bauer Vapors and CCMs and things like that. They are not being, there just doesn't seem to be as many positive reviews about these out there. But I'm telling you, as somebody who's owned most of those other skates, these are the second most responsive ones to a custom pair of CCM SuperTacs. So just think about that, and I would say that the majority of that is coming from the outsole, so that does actually do something. So the bottom of your foot is actually torsionally very stiff, but as you get up towards the top of the boot, it's fairly soft. And so what that does is enables you to really get the power going when you want to, but that softer part of the upper boot, instead of digging into your ankles like the overly stiff AS3 Pro SuperTac, you can actually get the same agility out of those as you might maybe a Ribcore 80K from CCM. So it's a really, really good design, and I liked it a lot. And so if you go into a store and you try them on and you're looking at a retail skate and you're not noticing any pain in the toe cap or anything like that, and you're feeling like, okay, well, I think my heel locks in, there's no pain in the toe cap, I'm feeling pretty good in those, I think you should feel confident that those are going to be a really responsive skate, and I think you'll like them. I think it'll obviously come down to what profile you put on the steel as well, but that's obviously a personal preference thing. But from a performance standpoint, from a weight standpoint, from a durability standpoint, very happy with them. Obviously, long-term durability, I don't know about, but they seem like they're a very, very well put together skate, and I haven't had too many problems with durability on the majority of the Bauer skates that I've owned. So I would keep that in mind. If they don't hurt your feet, then I think that you should be pretty happy with your purchase. There's nothing weird about them other than that questionable toe cap. So let's now get into the section where I talk about what Bauer has done this second time. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I received these skates, skated on them, developed the issue with the toe cap, the forefoot, and the heel, and I sent them back. And now I've since received them and had a chance to skate in them again. So let me talk about that now. Okay, so the folks at Bauer probably hate me, but so the reasons I sent my skates back is that besides the toe cap, I still felt like the left forefoot and the left heel was a bit snug. And, I do have a permanent injury on my left foot from a pair of True skates back in the day. but I just felt like they weren't quite the right size. And if you recall from my previous video on these, basically what they do to get this skate to fit me is they took a size 9.5 fit 3. They cut the left skate down to a 7 3/4 size, and they cut the right skate down to an 8. And they also put a size 10 toe cap on each boot. So it's basically a way oversized toe cap and a lot of volume in the skate. And I originally requested a size 10 fit 3 skate for my left heel. And so they don't really, it's not really as precise of a fitting system as CCM. And CCM has now surpassed True, in my opinion, by the way. Since CCM now has a new scanning process, so that's another conversation. But anyways, Bauer is really kind of a mishmash of putting stuff together, whereas CCM has a full, 3D-dimensional like image of your foot, and then they build a skate around it, versus Bauer hacking and slashing existing boots to fit your feet. So that's basically what they did. And so I sent them back and said, you know what, I put enough hours on these skates to know that this isn't getting better. It's causing a fairly permanent pain. And every time I skate, I'm in agony. Every time I take a wrist shot, every time I do a hard stop on that left foot, and I'm right-handed, so whenever I take a shot, I definitely put pressure on that area of my foot, and it's just excruciating. It's almost sharp in there too, by the way. It's not really coated by very, very much material. It's a super paper thin suede material or whatever they have in there over like super abrasive and sharp plastic and metal. And to include some fairly abrasive stitching too. So I just said, what can you guys do for me? I need to get this resolved. So although they were communicating with me, they being Bauer, and trying to help me out, they weren't really throwing any ideas out there. The only responses I was getting was like, I don't really know what else we could do to those skates to make them work for you, and this, that, and the other thing. And they just got to a point where they're like, just send them back to us. We will take a look at it. And so fast forward 2 weeks, they're really responsive with their turnaround times, and it is great customer service, although it's always a bit of a mystery what exactly they're doing to your skates. You kind of just get them back one day. And so I received these skates back with literally no information about what was done to them. I don't know if I care that much about it, but I'm more of just a curiosity. But I guess while the skates were away, I was kind of assuming, and I guess I should mention this too, I wrote a pretty detailed list of what was going on with my skates, and I also said, hey, listen, I think my foot is just not compatible with this toe cap. Is there like a possibility we could maybe put on a toe cap from a 2S Pro or the new Hyperlight skates that are going to be coming out? That's the replacement for the 2X Pro, or just something different. I don't know. And no real communication about that. And so I didn't really know what I was going to get back. And so what I received was just what appears to be the exact same skates that I sent away. There was no, they visibly aren't any different looking than when I sent them out. The only instruction that I received was in the form of an email saying, hey, we recommend you bake these skates again. I'm like, all right, well, that's fair enough. And so I tried them back on before baking, threw the old compression sock on. I'm like, all right, here we go, fingers crossed. Threw my foot in there, and my initial impression was like, okay, the forefoot width feels good now. The heel width didn't really feel any different, and the toe box felt marginally better. That's the best I can say. Very, very marginally better. And it was to the point where I wasn't convinced that it was fixed. And so I made some plans to hit up the rinks, because ever since I started filming this, it's been over the course of a month or so. Some of the rinks have opened up around my area for stick and puck sessions. So I did get a chance to try these skates out yesterday. And unfortunately, I have now decided that the skates are not working. There's not enough of improvement for me to want to keep these. And so, what I'm going to do, the current date is January 30th, 2021. I have 2 more ice sessions this weekend, and I'm gonna give it time. I have, by the way, baked them before I skated yesterday in them. But I'm going to give them some time. I'm going to give them those 2 more ice sessions, which should be, about 4 hours worth of ice. If I don't hear any, or if I don't feel any improvements, I am done with these skates. I am going to work with the shop and see if I can get an exchange so I can go custom CCM. I'm done with it. This was it for me. This was a long time in the process of trying to be patient and trying to work through these skates, but it is just not working. And in the middle of this whole process, I actually went and purchased a pair of like Mickey Mouse CCM ribcore skates that were like they're called a titanium. They're just kind of a mixture of mid-level skates with some ribcore 70K features in them. Just a real like $230 skate off a sideline swap. I prefer those to these custom ultrasonic. Whenever I skate in these ultrasonics, it is constant pain, and when I'm done skating, the pain lingers. And even in these other ribcore skates that don't even fit me that well, they don't. It's more of a they're not optimal for skating, and maybe it doesn't wrap my foot that well. It's those kinds of things versus like just sheer pain. And so I don't know. I hope you guys, if you're looking at this and you're thinking about getting these skates, this is just one person's perspective on this. But I guess I would kind of say that I'm really happy with Bauer's customer service. I think they're a great company. I think that everybody has worked as hard as they could to help me out with this whole situation. But this is really something that's not going to get resolved. I don't see how it's going to get resolved. So if these skates fit you, I'm going to say you're going to love them. But if you kind of notice any pain when you go to try these things on in the store, and it's in that toe cap area, just know that you cannot fix it. It is not an area that you can fix. It is not going to break in. You cannot punch it. You cannot heat it away. You cannot stick foam to it. There's really nothing you can do to that area. It just either fits or it doesn't. That's been my experience. It's been the experience of a couple of the managers at the shop that I go with. They've also noticed some inconsistencies on the ultrasonic skates also with regard to the toe cap. One example, there was an issue where somebody came in, bought a pair of retail ultrasonics, returned with them, say, hey, the toe cap hurts me. They felt inside of the toe cap and there was a weird abrasion. They grabbed another pair of ultrasonics from the back in the same size. Abrasion was not there. And the guy tried them on, like, oh yeah, these are fine. And they just did a straight exchange and they damaged out the skates. And so I don't know what's going on with that, but there's been, I don't know, maybe it was just lingering 2020. I know maybe some of this stuff was rushed out. I know for sure the CCM JetSpeed FT3 Pro stick is a Snap-O-Matic. That thing's breaking all over the place. So I don't know what's going on with that, but just be aware of that when you go in to look for any abrasion or comfort issues around the toe cap and the quarter package of the ultrasonic skates. But like I said, if they don't bug you, go for it. They're awesome, awesome skates from a performance standpoint. Okay, so now that I've basically told you guys that I'm about one step away from throwing these skates away, joking aside, I'll give them the remainder of the weekend, but I'm just not seeing how these things could possibly change to be comfortable. Anything that forces you to stop thinking about playing hockey, or in my case, officiating the game of ice hockey, not a good fit. If pain is causing you to think about that sort of thing. So, in the event that I do return these things, it's a pretty clear decision what I'm going to go do. So let me just show you that. Okay, here they are. Yes, the AS3 Pros. So also, some of you guys may know that I've already owned a retail pair of these. This is my favorite CCM boot that they've ever made. I think that there's some problems with it, I shall say, at the retail level, but from a custom standpoint, there are enough options that you can choose from that make this the number one choice for somebody who has maybe wider, higher volume feet, that, and then need some other things done to it. You can do the most custom options to the CCM SuperTax than you can the Ribcore or the FT2 Pros. I learned that from a virtual fitting with the CCM, the guys there. But anyways, one of the things that is really important to me, aside from the fact that they're going to be able to do a full 3D image and a build of, basically a fake plastic build of my foot and build a skate around it. The other thing is they get every single bump and bruise and whatever you have on your foot, that's going to be taken into consideration for the build. The other thing is the sides of the skates are going to wrap your feet better than other skates that are on the market. And one major thing that I think a lot of people don't even think about is you can change the stiffness of these skates. I'll probably do an entirely different video on this, but these skates at the retail level are probably the stiffest skates that have ever been made. They're rated at 215. I don't know what that means, but it is the stiffest ones. For a point of reference, the FT2s are 195, so a lot softer. But what I'll mention to you is that there's no flex in these skates at all, and I'm 220 pounds, and I'm a pretty decent skater, and you can't flex them. It's just the bottom line. So being able to get the one-piece boot design, but having the same stiffness as the Ultrasonic is an option. And by the way, just for reference, an Ultrasonic and a regular retail AS3 are about the same stiffness. So if you ever were in a store and you wanted to, try, test it out, that's the about the same thing. So anyways, this is what I'm going to go for in the event that I can't get the Ultrasonics to work for me, and I really don't want to go this way, even though I think the skates are cool and it's a good way to go. This is just going to start an entirely new waiting process and require me to pay another $300 and on top of what I already spent. So it's going to be a pain. But anyways, this is definitely what I'm going to go do. When I get those skates, if I go that way, I will definitely provide a review on them and tell you how they turned out. I do have a buddy who just went through the process and his turned out amazing, and he's got some pretty bad foot issues too, so we'll see how it goes. But that is it for now. Thanks for checking it out.